Joining me right now is Counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, it's good to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure, Maria.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've got extra security measures being taken. People are worried. Do you expect we'll see extra security measures taken in the U.S. as a result of what went on in London?
Well, the President and his counterterrorism team assessed this situation throughout the night. I know our counterterrorism experts were conferring with their British counterparts, and since it looks like the British government is treating this as a possible act of terrorism, we'll wait to see how that investigation unfolds, and we're there to support our allies any way that they need. We just don't want this to become the new normal, where people feel like they're changing their behavior, their lifestyles, their lives indeed, Maria, and allowing the terrorists in any form to win and to prevail. And so we know that people are very concerned about national security. It's in large part how the President won. He just, frankly, put out the more muscular, more robust anti-terrorism program, whether it's peace through strength or him wanting ISIS to be in retreat. Hillary Clinton referred to them as our, quote, determined enemies in her convention speech. So I think there is a huge contrast. And you're seeing that play out now, where the President is constantly talking about how his first responsibility to this nation is our safety and security.
Yeah, he really did. And I think that's why it's just a head-scratcher as far as why he gets this pushback on the travel ban and everything else. Meanwhile, there are new questions surrounding whether or not the President is actually under investigation or not by the special counsel looking into Russia's alleged election meddling. On Friday, the President tweeted out this: "I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director. Witch hunt." And then yesterday, a member of the President's legal team contradicted the tweet. Kellyanne, is the President under investigation?
Well, I don't think Jay Sekulow, the President's personal lawyer, contradicted the tweet. I think he explained it. What Mr. Sekulow said is that the President is constrained by the 140 characters in Twitter. The President uses a social media platform to communicate directly with the people, as you know, Maria. But that Jay Sekulow, one of his personal lawyers, said the President has not been notified that he's under investigation. In fact, Mr. Comey testified that the President is not. The President said in the letter where he dismissed Mr. Comey in May that Comey had told him 3 times that he wasn't under investigation. They've not been notified otherwise. His personal lawyer would know this. And it's important to say that because what the President was reacting to in that particular social media message was the Washington Post report that was based on 5 anonymous sources that must have been leaked, that he somehow is under investigation. His lawyer is saying, no, he's not. So I think he's explaining that. The President is really pointing out the irony of everything. And the last part of his tweet is the most important, which is that he considers this to be a witch hunt. We've been doing this for many, many months now, having an investigation. Where's the collusion? Where's the obstruction of justice? Where's the evidence that supports this conclusion? And we have separate, 5 or 6 different separate congressional investigations going on. And we've been doing this for 8 or 9 months. I mean, you could have had a baby in this time, and they have no evidence.
Well, look, I have been very adamant about this as well from the beginning, saying, look, this is, it looks like it's a completely manufactured story. Russia has been hacking and has been undermining the U.S. and the West for decades. Why attach the President to that? He has nothing to do with it. However, why respond to the Washington Post, do you think, Kellyanne? I mean, the President has, rightly so, called some of the news out there fake news, and in many cases the President was right. Why respond to the Washington Post? I mean, the idea of tweeting, I understand he's speaking directly to the American people. People like it, and it's been a good strategy for him. But can you convince him or ask him why he's not tweeting about the agenda, why he's not tweeting about why bring up the Russia story and respond to the Washington Post when this is a news organization he's called fake news anyway? So here's where everybody has to wake up each morning and make their own choices. The media could cover all of his tweets, and if they did that, they would see that he more often tweets about agenda items than other matters. He has this constant stream on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, his big social media platform that he says reaches about 100 million people, Maria. And you had the entire day in Cuba the other day where he rolled back these awful rules that Obama put in place that allowed the Cuban regime, not the Cuban people, to benefit financially. We had the first meeting at the White House of the Opioid Commission on Friday. Earlier in the week, the President did a workforce development and apprenticeship week
That's all on Twitter. This week he'll be meeting with today he'll be meeting with the tech CEOs. Last week he also signed some things into law and EOs that benefit people, benefit workers. All of that goes on to his Twitter feed when he has a bilateral. He's hosted, I think, more than 20 now at the White House with foreign leaders. But people don't want to cover that. They want to cover, they're very selective in the different tweets they want to cover. So I'm telling you, the American people see all of the social media platforms. Those who are paying attention say, wow, he's going to put all this money and all this force and effect of the White House behind apprenticeship programs, where those who go through an apprenticeship program, the Department of Labor stats say they're 90% of them get employed immediately, and they make an average of $60,000 per year. So we want to dignify all types of career paths, all types of jobs, the welders, the hairdressers, the plumbers, the carpenters, people who get a high school diploma and a skills certificate. Yeah. All of that's on a social media platform. They just don't want to cover it.
All right, I think that's a fair point. I mean, but there is criticism that the president brings up things that he doesn't really need to. I mean, does he create some obstacles for himself by bringing up some of the things that perhaps his supporters don't believe anyway?
Well, in this case, though, first of all, he's the president of all Americans, and he made that clear beginning on November 9th, and he's never wavered from that. People who criticize him and even deny that the legitimacy of his presidency will benefit from his tax cut. They will benefit from better health care. They will benefit from infrastructure. They will benefit from ISIS in retreat. They will benefit from the regulatory framework being chipped away because it's impeding our pocketbook and our personal liberty issues. But, Maria, the fact is the president feels he has a right to defend himself on occasion. He's watching a one-sided witch hunt, as he refers to it, because it's not like if we're in the court of law and you're watching people, you're watching one side and it's a prosecution rest and here comes the defense. It doesn't work that way. You've got Comey testifying without anybody responding in front of 20 million people. You've got outlet after outlet that's still criticizing him, that is against him, that's part of the quote resistance and obstruction. You've got an entire Democratic Party and their presidential nominees still obstructing.
And I want to ask you about what the president could do, but let me get to this, because the president has added John Dowd, a veteran lawyer in Washington, to his legal team. Is the president preparing for a legal battle? Is that why he is upping the number of people on the legal team? Tell us what he's expecting.
Well, he's always been a prepared man. He's a very smart businessman, among the smartest, most successful, and he's just somebody who surrounds himself with the best and the brightest, and he's doing that here as well. What he's preparing for is what we already know exists, which is this investigation that's ongoing, a witch hunt, but it continues forward for now, and he's just preparing himself for that. And I know a number of these attorneys, and they're all very talented, and they all have different types of expertise, and I think the most important thing is that they understand their client in this case, and that they protect him, and they avail him of every possible resource in him defending himself. He has a right to do that.